Hello and welcome members to today's Fork Friday, where we have a review of the week and have a look at some of our trades and chart setups. And I've been sent a couple of things to look at, so please feel free, I'm just recording now, to send in anything you want us to look at. Let me just pull up the first one. Hang on. Just being a bit slow on Zoom. It was from John. Here we are. And let's see what these two were about. Then we can look at the Euro USD trade. Here we are. That we did yesterday. It's pretty short from him. Oh, it's being slow. Oh, here we are. Was it that? That one. Right, here we are. So we've got, it's just loading up. I think it was AJ and EJ. Don't know why the computer's being a bit slow. Get rid of that harmonic scanner there. Ah, here we are. So this is the first one, which is pretty sure that one was AJ. Might have to log in again to look at it, a separate tab. Right. There we are. So open this other one. So there's two here. Can't see, I'm pretty sure he said AJ and EJ. AJ, right, I'm in these two, AJ and EJ. Right, so let's find this one first. There we are. Load chart layout. Let's just have a quick look at AJ and load up EJ. And we can quickly go through these. And EJ, Euro JPY. There we are. So this must have been from so that went down. I can't see that green session. That must have been, maybe he was in Tokyo. I can't see which is which. They're very similar. When you look at the price. Stop. I can't really tell where he is on these. So what we'll do is have a look. Let's just have a look. He's got green on, which maybe was early morning before he went off to work or something. So I'll just have a look to see what kind of trades we could have taken. I think I'll have to do it that way. If you do send me charts, please try and give me the pair and you know, a bigger picture of it. I'll just take these off and show you the new indicator that we've got, which is this one, Harmonic Pitchforks Indicators, which gives you 3-in-1 for the 62 EMA and the 930, and also the quarters theory, which doesn't turn off when it moves away from price. So we'll just set this up. That's all you have to do is just click the colors, and then you've got 3-in-1, which if you're on a free version of TradingView is very helpful. And there we are. I'm trying to go through all my pairs and do it as we go along. Right, so there we are. That's that on then. So what did we have in the way of trades? Euro JPY, so obviously that's got JPY in it. It's a Tokyo session pair. So this would be our point of interest on the 1-minute chart, where we've got a quarter theory and a pitchfork coming together. So you can see that the trend is your friend. You'd be looking for what is the trend, and you can see that there's an upward trend. So, you know, depending on what time you're looking at these, you won't have all the future information to the right, but you want to get us at least 2 or 3 touches. So you could have put that more like that, for example, there. So that shows you the upward trend. You've also got your pivots here, which show you higher lows, and higher highs. So that shows you the channel trading that's going on. We don't use them very much. Let me take that off. So if I wanted to get in for a trade this morning, and I'm sorry, I can't quite, John's not on. He said he can't be on this afternoon. I can't quite tell from the charts he sent, the screen grabs, exactly which pairs which, because they're very similar, and where he got in. But if I was looking at this in Tokyo, he had a green PC FX session at the top. So I'm assuming he was in Tokyo before he went off to work. And let's have a look at how many pips we've got on that one. Only 12 there, but you've got 27 coming up here. So if we were looking at this for a trade, and there we are coming into London. That's our hourly candles there. So let's see what we've got. So on Euro JPY, we would be looking for our break and retest. That was 12 pips. Then it comes back. So that's done both the break and the retest of the quarter theory and the pitchfork together. And then it, just magnify that a bit more so you can see the candles. And get one of these. We could replay it on the chart, but I don't want to slow our system down too much. So I've got an arrow here. So it's done a big break and retest. It comes below the 62. So you don't want to get in while the 62 is acting as a ceiling, pressing it down if you're thinking of getting in it for a buy. Look at the wicks on those 2 candles off your 1-minute trend, showing you that it is failing on forcing price down. It's an indecision candle. And then there you get a little push back, then a rejection back down, and a push up again. It wicks off again. Got a very good point together. It can't make it through. So you could have got in anywhere of these points here, because you're after this and you're above the 62. So let's see if we put a long position on, if we would have 10 pips stop loss, so you'd still be going to be fine on your stop loss, although we don't like being in drawdown at all, because it gets us very stressed. And then we've got there's our 20 pips. So anywhere around about here, and then that's the 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock UK candle, so it gives you that breakdown to trick you into thinking you made the wrong decision, but it doesn't break that previous low over there. And then sure enough, it takes off on this 1-minute trend line. So if you had got in here because you thought, well, I've got that break in the retest, I'm above the quarter theory, I've got 12.4 pips break and retest above that, and the pitchfork, I did not entirely understand why you'd think it's going to take off now and I'll get in here, and then you have got to suffer a bit of drawdown until it comes past, because that time was, you still got half an hour there, but you would have been fine on your stop loss, and then it takes off here, and then you've got your 20 pips. So how would you know when to get out? You haven't really got any, you're still way above the 62. So apart from that stall out, and then it starts to dip, and then you can see it's coming back down. You've got over 20 pips. You're up to 25, which is your daily target. So that would have been a very good place to close, anywhere along here or here. And sure enough, comes right back down. But what it's actually giving you is another entry, because you've got the same setup. You've got pitchfork, quarter theory, well, that's the other way around, stall out, and then it comes above the 62 there, but that would not have covered you so well. Too far away maybe, would not really have covered you so well on that quarter theory as well as the pitchfork. So that might not have been such a good entry there. And then it starts to drop back down. So I think he said he got stopped out. So I'm not sure I'm looking at the right one, that's all. That's right down there. That might be AJ then. Let's have a look at this other one, see if we can work it out. And that's the green sessions timer. So I'm assuming that is Tokyo. So let's have a look at AJ. So what would we have done in Tokyo with AJ? We're on the extensions there. Can I see a trade? When I'm on the extensions, I don't get in until it's on this sort of inner one, unless you've got a rejection off the 88.6 fib. If you don't mind, I'll just add on my, oh, I have got it on this one. I've done it already. So have we got, we've got it, if we just break it down, we've got quarter theory down here, we've got our outer extensions, we've got the 62 EMA. So where is our break and our retest for 10 pips? And again, AJ, both of them are Tokyo session pair. So we've got, this is Paris time, 6 AM here. So I probably wouldn't have got in any of these, because 8, 9, 10. Got to get it above there. So not a really good entry for me there. So he said he got stopped out. So I'm just wondering if it was something to do with this here, but I can't see where he would have got in there. Can't see that at all. So it's not there if he was in for the buy. If he was in for the buy here, depending on the broker's spread, maybe it was something to do with this, in which case you can see why you get stopped out, because you haven't got enough of a barrier. You're above the 62, but you're not really very well protected. You've got a break and a retest there, plus you're above the 62. So where is your third confirmation? Well, you could put a trend line on. So we're looking at this point here. So if we put a trend line on, and remember, you wouldn't be able to see all this that's happening there. You do get the 20 pips up here, but you've only got one, you've got two confirmations in your red stop loss box. So it's not really my idea of a perfect trade because I'm not covering these two lines at all. And the 62 is a bit too far away, so I wouldn't have got into that. Let's have a look. If we said break and retest there, what does that look like? Break and retest there, plus the break and the retest of the 1 minute trend up that way, and it's holding it. And then you did get your 20 pips. So actually you've got both the extensions covered. So you could have got in on that one. You could have got in there. You've got it holding the 1 minute trend. You've got the break and the retest of the pitchfork, but how much is that on the pitchfork? The inner extension, 7.4. But you did have quite an upward thrust there, 2 downward candles, rejection off, and then it did go for the 20. So that would have, but you would have had to have been quite precise. I would not have got in if it had started to move away like that. But that isn't too bad at all because you've got both extensions covered. So I'm sorry, I can't quite see. Sometimes, oh, there it is. So we are looking at the same one. So he got stopped out, and I think the answer to it is it's just too far off. I don't know what this might. Break and retest of pitchfork, didn't wait for retest, patience above 62 and above the 1 minute trend line. So I think that 1 minute trend line's a bit off. He is above the I just think it's too far off the pitchfork. I think that's what I'm seeing here. I'm not sure what this dotted line is. But there's that little one that we're looking at here, there. So that was your entry here. If you got in up here, then I can see, why would you have got stopped out up there? Oh, you must have got in here and got stopped out with this wick. And you see that wick is on the hour. Can you see the hour at the bottom? So 6 o'clock Paris time. So that wick has taken him out. So that is unfortunate. So he's got in, I think that's what's happened. I think something's happened there where he's got in up here. So I think it's just the precision of the entry, and with the spread and commission, something's happened round about this point, making it too tight, and you'd really want it. You'd want to get in there and make sure you've got both those extensions covered, and then you would have been okay on that one. So let's just see if we can find that euro one. So that's that one. And then we'll move on to something else. That was this one. So this is the AJ, break and retest of quarter theory and pitchfork. Yes, we can see that. That's very nice. We were looking at that. Above the 62, correct. Above the 1 minute trend, correct, except I probably would have drawn it to this point here, not down there. Probably would have angled it more like that, up towards these points here. Stop loss covered by pitchfork and quarter theory and 62. Pitchfork, quarter theory and the 62. Got in early. So he's got taken out. He got stopped out. Stopped out down there. So we just have one more look at that. So the entry, I can't really see why he's got stopped out. That's all. If we're down there. Was he in earlier? Was it that one? Maybe it was that one then. So if you'd got in, sorry, it's a bit hard for me to tell if someone isn't on the session. I can't see the timing. I can't see, because when he sent them to me, I can't see the time. What have I got on the 1 minute? It's a bit hard for me to tell when he's in. We've worked out AJ. Sorry, I can't really tell whereabouts he was, whether it was down here and why he's got stopped out. On on this one. But if we have a look at the setups, then we can say you haven't got an entry here because your 62's up here. It's moved too far off. It's now on the downward trend if you drew a trend line. So have I got another entry here? What have we got going on here? If we move this across, 10 pips stop loss. I would not get in before to clear the inner extension. Just about, you might want to turn your stop loss up a smidge, 2 pips to cover that quarter theory. And where's your next entry? So, you know, it's quite, just keep breaking it down, because if you put that here, you would not, you've got a nice potential entry because you've got pitchfork and quarter theory together covered by your 10 pip stop loss. You've got an upward trend forming, you've got the stall out on the quarter theory, you've got it coming above the 62, but don't get in it until it's done a break and a retest of the inner extension, because these act like our brick walls. So that ended up only 1.5 pips away there, and then it takes off big time. So that would have been your entry there. It's quite slow, and then you got your 20 pips. So to be fair, I probably would have been out by then, because I would have seen that sliding across, and I would have thought, well, maybe too much of a stall out for me. Let me see how long that went on for. So and then it dipped down as well. So that was 16 minutes, and it went down, and then it stalled out again, and it went down. So I think that probably would have made me come out the trade at the 20 pips or thereabouts. Then one of our rules is, if you are the right side of that 62, there's no reason to get out of the trade till you start to see it curl off. So working on that basis, you could have said, okay, then I'm prepared to give up. You could have been trailing this 62, and that would have been 8 pips you would have given up if we put a horizontal line on. So once it's moved the 10 pips, we've put our 1 pip in. We got a trend line like this, something like this.
I'm busy.
And we would have said, all right, we'll stay behind our 1 minute trend and our 62. So we could have let it pull back, just slips through a little bit there, but it holds it. And then you could have started pulling this up, staying behind this 62, staying behind the previous, staying behind that 1 minute as well there. And then once you've cleared this next level, look at that beautiful stall out on the quarter theory. So that would have stalled out for, that's half an hour there. So you would have had to, you could have stayed in this trade. This would have been, so you're up 60 pips. That's taken you 2 hours, and then it carries on going. But a very nice trade if you had the patience to stay in it. So half an hour of stall out, a long quarter theory. It's still above your 62. It's still above your 1 minute trend. So it's not failing on you. It's not pulling down. Let me just get this over here. So we've now got 37 pips. So that's nearly 1 to 4. Up to here, 60 pips. So that's 1 to 6, and then that ends up going for 100 pips. So, so even if you just take it up to, why is that on yellow? Take it up to quarter theory, you kind of done your trading for the week on this one, if you'd had the patience for it, because all the indicators were that you could have stayed in. So half an hour stall out, but you're the right side of quarter theory, above the 62, still above the 1 minute trend. A little bit of slippage there, but the 62 holds it. See the wick off the 62, so 4 minutes of stalling out. And then once you're above that pitchfork again, you're safe up until quarter theory. Still well above the 62. You've still got the 1 minute trend keeping you the right side. And at quarter theory, you're thinking, okay, I'm well up now. I'm this amazing trade in about 3 hours. And then you probably would have come out, you know, because you're seeing it dropping down. And I mean, you've got a huge return. So 100 pips, 1 to 10, that is 4 days trading at 25 pips a day, just on that one pair. Fabulous that would have been, and that took you through to most of New York. Okay, so that's that. Now we're going to go and let's have a look. Let me see what the time is. Going to have a look at the Euro USD. I can't see if there are any questions. I'll have a look in a minute. Just stop share, see if there's okay, so I haven't got any questions. That's fine. So let's have a look at this Euro USD. So I've got this marked up, thinking this is current state of play. I'm expecting this, not that I'm predicting, but this is called banker's strategy. So it's something a little bit more advanced, which I'm still learning it. Les has taught me. So that's a point of resistance. This is a sell. Euro USD is a sell next week, but it may go up first, and I'll explain that in a minute. So your point of resistance is this C point on this latest scan at 1.17 here. It has to break through this previous low, and once it does that, we're looking for it to go to down to 1.15500, and that's based on previous money that the bankers have down at this level, where it's their old stop losses and they want that money back now. And that's how they work, which is why you'll hear the phrase that the bankers, the big boys who move the markets, buy to sell and sell to buy. So they have to cause like an elastic band effect. And sorry about all these chart, you know, sorry, I know it looks a bit like, whoa, what hell's going on? But this is what they're coming back for. They're coming back for money they've left at this level down here, 1.15500. So they've got, I can't really see it now. How far back am I? Only in January. I'm on the 1 hour. Might have to come back to the daily to show you. See if I can pick it up. And this was the money that they came back up to collect. They came back up to collect money from September 2018, because each pip is $10 million. So they came back up to collect money at 1.18500, and they've got money up at 1.18550. And I think they even came up to 1.19 So they did a 50 pips above to collect back in some of their money, because they've still got a lot of money sat back up here, which will be something probably to do with Brexit back in January 2018. They've got stop losses and money up here that they want. So they want to force price back up here eventually, and then drive it down again. So it's a series of ups and downs like a roller coaster. So at the moment, what they're doing, and Zach McDonald is the person I'm learning banker's theory off. That's who Les has recommended. And there's a single mum in her 20s, Jenna, in in Australia. I've seen one interview with her. She's absolutely fabulous at the banker's strategy. And I've seen an interview that Zach did with her, and she's only like 26. So it just shows you that this is something that we can all learn. So on this trade, I was in where I did my 20 pips was this, and I think I've taken all my markups off now. So I came down on it Oh, it's hot today. I had it. I got in here. I think I was down to about here, and then I could have had 33, and I was holding on to it, and then it went back up to 25. So as it came back through, it took me out on that blue line. I think that was it, because I was thinking it might currently go down more, but it didn't. And I've drawn these lines on afterwards, by the way. So I didn't have quarter theory covered. I did the trade off the basis of feeling confident that I was okay with what I've just discussed with you, that I'd watched it all day yesterday and that it was coming back down. So I got in down this run here for the 25 pips, which is my daily target, and that was a very nice trade. And then what I've done now is mark up a fib from 100% down to that low point. That was 33 pips down to there. And then if it comes back up, ideally to the 88.6, that's what I'm not sure I've marked it up right, but I think I have, then I'll be looking for it to come back. So go up to that point before it swings down to want to come to some of these lower points. If it doesn't do that, that's not a problem. I'll just show you what happens if I hide this. So I'm waiting for it now to come back into this latest scan. So it is, I can take these off, these were from this morning. Don't need them anyway. So the scan, the most recent scan that I had, and you can see how it pushed up way past that scan to take that money out. That's why it did that. That's why the bankers did that. So the latest scan was the D point of the 29th of July. And what I'm looking for it to do now, I'll take that off, is come back into this latest scan. This is its line at that C point that it's got to break through, and then we're looking for it eventually, it won't do it all at once, to come down to 1.15500, which are these lines down here. So at the moment, it's still in my old scan from April, but that's okay. These are very accurate once they're drawn on. And you can just follow Leslie's strategy with the scalping on the 543 and the HFX. You know, you don't have to do pitchforks and the way I do most of my. That's all right, Dan, don't worry about it. Sometimes I get the dog barking and all sorts. If he sees the cat, he can set off. The cat comes to taunt him on the windowsill, so it's just life, don't worry about it. So at the moment, it's Friday afternoon. I don't usually trade Friday afternoons, and Euro USD makes its move in the first hour of London, which is my yellow PCFX sessions timer, and it makes its move in the first full hour of New York, which is 2 to 4 UK time. So that would be 3 o'clock, and there you are. You can see it made a move there. And often I'll go back and back test when pairs make their move, and there's that first hour of London, and there's a move it made for just over 50 pips. Then it rests a bit, and then it's made another move, not quite so much because it's Friday afternoon. So that's where we are. I'm going to be following this with interest next week, and I don't know, I'm hoping it'll go back up on that Fibonacci and then spring down. But my next point of interest for an entry, if it doesn't do that, I'd like to see that I can get something where I've got both the pitchfork and the quarter theory covered. So on this, I'd normally only have a 10 pip stop loss. So that's too big. I don't usually trade like that. I'll just set it like that. So that always makes me nervous. I did do that this morning. It does make me nervous when I do that though. Don't like trading like that. I have to be very certain that I'm okay. So then I'd be looking for that 30 pips down to there, or down to that next pitchfork at 50. And then once it's back in the pink one, this is a lovely point of entry here. because you've got your stop loss very nicely covered by these two brick walls. So I'd come in on the, that's perfect, come in on the quarter theory and take that down to that. Let me just hide that one because we'd be in the pink one at this point. So I'd have 15 pips down to there, and if it cleared that, then I'd be looking for that 32 down to there. So next week, an entry at 1.17, and that is that key point of interest where, if you remember, I said earlier we had previous points of support and resistance. Always look left on charts to see what's going to happen right. So this is an absolutely critical area, because once it clears this area, it's then going to want to drop quite a bit further. Okay, and that's the end of that scan down at these Fibonacci, these boomerang points. These are like your Bollinger Bands. And then you've got another entry here. It isn't a very fast pair like Euro AUD or Euro NZD. There's another entry here, which is a very nice one. And so I'll be setting alerts to look as it comes down through these points. But it might not just drop all the way down. You know, often, as you can see, price will come up. Come up higher. Everyone wants to know why Les has always got the same blue and white shirt on. He said it's because I just wear it for live sessions, otherwise I walk around without a shirt. He's funny. So that's everything on the pairs. GU was another one. Had a nice trade on that. I did have a bad time with GJ yesterday, so I'll just show you. I think that was yesterday. It was one of my. It was awful. It was awful. So occasionally you have a bad day, and I did have a bad day yesterday, and it's entirely my fault. I put it down to the heat. I'll explain it in a minute. So GU. Did I still have that marked up? I'm sure it was a sell. Again, if you look back through your trading, link up your live account to my FX book. Or CTrader. I use CTrader, so I've got it linked on both actually, but then you can see what your percentage preference is, what kind of trades, whether you like to do buys or sells, half and half or whatever, and you'll find that you have a psychological preference. It's just quite interesting to see. So didn't do anything on that today. You can see that's in an upward trend at the moment. Too late in the day, really. I don't like trading this time on a Friday afternoon, because you can get caught in spreads and commissions over weekends, and it can suddenly peter out on you. But that's an upward trend. You've got break and retest off quarter theory and pitchfork. You know, that's typically, it's the same thing over and over that you're looking for. And this is why Forex, once you've got it down, that's done 20 pips there, it needn't be your whole life, because you just do your 2 or 3 hours a week and you'll have all that you need. And in fact, you shouldn't overtrade. That's another lesson I've learned the hard way. You know, and that will give you the money that you need, you know, to live the life you want and compound it. That was GU. I should keep my markups on. Sometimes I take them off. Here we are. Was that what I was looking at? That must have been one that I was looking at, but it went the other way. So my markup didn't do what I wanted to do. So I haven't got pitchfork there either. Can't remember on that one, sorry. That's coming out Tokyo into London. Don't know what I was thinking of there, but I did have quite a nice run somewhere on GU. I need to keep the markups more accurately and right on it, go through for Friday. That's what I'll start doing, unless anyone's got charts they want me to look at, which is great. So let me show you GJ. Load chart layout. Entirely my fault. All the GBP pairs were going up. So look at your correlating pairs. They don't always, as a rule, they don't always all move the same way. See, that's the D point that I had down there. And it moved. So I'll just show you. Take that off. Certainly didn't get involved with it again. So, and in fact, it's a very fast pair, and you do have to get the perfect setup. And I don't trade it that often. And after this, I know why. So if I come onto the Harmonic scanner, just have a look at where that GJ was. There, it was a shark. So the D points, oh, that's not it. Hot Forex Traders Way, GJ. Not seeing it myself now. It's on the 15-minute. Pretty sure it didn't move off. Let's try it on FX Choice. Oh, I thought it was a shark. Right, so there, I think this was the one. So that was a scan of C to D 274. That means the scan has failed because it's shot straight up past the D point anyway. D point of 31st of July at 1300. Make sure you've got the same time H1. Unless what we're saying is, because sometimes the scanner doesn't quite catch up. So if that's now onto red and has stopped moving, 31st of July, let's have a look. GJ on the hourly, 31st of July. And there, you can see what happened. So come down to the 1 minute and I'll just show you what happened. So apart from the fact that all the GBP pairs were going up, I had this D point and I thought that it was a sell. Didn't keep the markup. I know I moved the D point after I had been in it. Let me have a look if I got the new indicator on here. Yes, I have. So I think it was I have moved the D point because it came up to this quarter. But it was when it was at a previous one, and it had, I think I remember what happened now. Just put this here. So it was definitely at, that's Tokyo. So it must have been when it was way back here. Anyway, I realized what I'd done wrong. Sorry, I haven't still got the markups. But in retrospect, what I remember from this was that I had 3 equal lows. I wonder if it might not let me to go back this far. I can always, I've got to redo this scan anyway. See how far it'll let me go back. I don't know if it'll take me back to a markup. I must remember to keep them on for future weeks. That's as far back as it's going to let me go, I think. Let's see. That's as far back as it's letting me go. So that was right down here. So when was that D point? That's the 30th of July. So you can see it continued to move up another 100 or so pips. Let's get rid of that one. Right up. Oh gosh, that's amazing, isn't it? Incredible. So there'll be some big drops, I would have thought, on the GBP. Now it's done all that. Anyway, I got caught out. I thought it was a sell. It had the break and the retest. And I had the quarter theory above there, which was something that I liked. I had it below the 62, and then I didn't get it down that far, so it must have maybe been at an earlier point. But in retrospect, what it did have was three equal lows, if not four, but I do remember three, and that should have given me a warning. So I think it was back at this point here. I had the break and the retest. I had it below quarter theory, but then it turned on me and it took us out on a 10 pip stop loss. So and the other pairs were going up. So the lesson is with the fast pairs, which are Euro AUD, Euro NZD, GBP JPY, GCAD, GA, and GN. It's all most of your GBP pairs, apart from GBP USD, which isn't quite so fast. Then these are 10 out of 10, very fast pairs. And obviously the D point can move, and it did move. You know, the GBP, even though there wasn't red flag news, just kind of shot up. And it was not a good call that I did there at all. I'm sorry about that. It's just, you know, one of those things. So the only other thing to say is I haven't got any others that I was going to go through with you today. I'm very interested in Euro USD for next week. I did take a few pips on Les's session this afternoon, which I wouldn't normally trade, but he has a very good system. He was doing Forex this afternoon, but it was Euro GBP, and I couldn't resist it. But again, you see, you shouldn't get greedy. But I did do 5 pips on it, and I thought, well, okay, I've done 30 now. But any good work you do in the morning, you don't want to undo it in the afternoon. But it was here. He was on at 1 p.m., which is 2 p.m. my time. He was on at 1 p.m., so it was about 2 p.m. That must have been that drop there. And it just came down here, and then he said he thought it would go further, and indeed it did. But I think I just got that bit. Must have been just about 5 pips there. But I didn't want to stay in any longer. 5 pips is 5 pips, and as I say, I wouldn't normally trade at this time of day anyway. But because of his setups, it was too good to resist 5 pips. So sometimes if you say to yourself, well, I'll just be on a 1 minute candle, I'll just see how it goes, and then I'm out the candle, then you can do a bit of scalping. And it's gone up again now anyway. But Euro GBP is a London session pair. It's late Friday, it's New York session, so you wouldn't find a lot of trading on this pair now necessarily. So let's just have a look before we finish for our news next week, see what we've got coming up. So we've got Canadian bank holiday all day, and then some USD red flag news in the afternoon. So if you're trading New York session on Monday, then USD CAD, which will be your main currency pairs, you've got one of them knocked out. So obviously look at USD and some other pairs. People do still trade that, but obviously there's other things that you can look at. We've got Australian dollar on the Tuesday, New Zealand on the Wednesday, very similar currency pairs. I don't always trade AUD and NZD because of that. It's just a bit boring and slow and very similar. Wednesday as well, some USD. And then Thursday a lot of GBP. Oh, okay, so we've had GBP big climbs up. Maybe that's in advance of wanting to, the bankers making an excuse to crash it back down. because they hide behind the news to drive price how they want to. So it could well be that's why it's made those big moves up. Next week for this, they'll want to plummet it to pick up money at the bottom, using that as an excuse. So all that red flag news at 1 p.m, Bank of England reports and things, and then Friday more OrdCAD, and then in the afternoon both Canadian and you've got non-farm payroll, non-farm employment. So that is the big end of month. Expect the market to be a bit weird next week. It'll kind of start to slow and tighten up because that is the big non-farm payroll, everything outside of agriculture. It's the biggest single red flag news of the month in the US. So major event. So that's what will affect all week. And it will slow down on the Thursday towards that. And then, of course, got that major GBP. But that is very, very big for us. So that is worth noting in your trading calendar. So I haven't got any more to add. I will put new scans for those who are interested into the Harmonic scanner. That looks very odd, doesn't it, that one? It's gone very strange. Into the Pitchfork and Harmonic scanner group. I'm just going to stop share. I haven't got anything else to talk about. I've got something in the chat. I was looking too far back to find the trend on EuroOrd this morning. Should I have been working from the smaller trend within the trend? Let's have a look at EuroOrd. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. EuroOrd. Let's have a look at what we would have done on that this morning. EuroOrd. First of all, I have found, like when I was in that Euro USD for a sell, I then saw Euro GBP had made a new smaller scan, only of about 60 pips, but it gave me the confidence to say I'm going to close the trade out. And I closed that out, was at 33 pips the other day. So sometimes I'll look at what's happening there. Where's EuroOrd gone? There. First of all, I'll just, because I'm maybe a little, not too far behind my scans, I'll just double check I'm not missing a scan on EuroOrd. There's a bat come up, that's M30. Have we got anything on trade? There's EuroOrd butterfly. I don't know why that's gone weird like that. Don't like the look of that one anyway. It's gone straight up past stop loss, so I won't be drawing that. Let's have a look. EuroOrd bat. See what that one's doing. That's okay. That's, well, I probably got that one. 31st, I don't know, 31st of July, maybe not. That might be a bit small. We have on this strategy has to be a minimum of 80 pips, 73.8. So I'm not drawing that. Okay, so there's one down there, the same one. Right, so EuroOrd, when you're looking at your trend, yes, you want to be sort of as close to the moment, because when we're in the 1 minute trend, we're looking at the palm of our hand right up in the wrinkles. We often don't even have to go out to the 15 minutes because what we're seeing is just more wrinkles, but we're seeing exactly the same thing, and we're looking at the current trend in the market. So if I was looking at this for a trade this morning, EuroOrd, so that's a London session, very fast pair, London's 10 out of 10, London session, and Ord, obviously Tokyo session. Let me just, if you bear with me for 1 minute while I put on our new indicators, then it shows us it'll show us quarter theory outside of it, because it usually only shows on current price. That won't take me a minute. Settings. Let's put these on. There we are. That's it. Okay, great. So London open here, and we've got, have I got any pitchfork showing here? What have I got? Object tree, let me see if I'm hiding any. Interesting. So I haven't got any pitchforks on it. So what I'd have to do on this one is to let me just change my old ones to green. Come to the hourly. This is a little bit more advanced. Pitchfork out into the middle of nowhere. I'll put the magnet on there, and then X to A. Change that to white because that's what I want to look at. And then line it up with either, let me take the magnet off for this, either C or D, but it must be in the opposite direction to the current scan. So you're not allowed to do that. It must be the opposite direction to the scan that you're placing on. So D is not going to work for us, lined up there. It's got to be the C point. And if you can't get it doing that, actually off the C point, then you do what we call a best fit, but that is picking it up. I'll put the extensions on, 1.5 and 1.618, and then come down to the 1 minute just to make sure you've got the points on exactly. So again, a little bit more fiddly because you've got to go back to see where that scan you're picking it up. Sometimes they can be further back, obviously, than the current scan, depending on where price is. And then Trading View won't take you so far back. So I'll have to come back. Trading View will only take you back 2 weeks. So you may have to come back to the 5 minute rather than the 1 minute. And there it is. So we'll just look and see that we've got, it is worth fiddling around with because then it's accurate. You can see that that's off slightly. So that's no good. It's got to be on exactly. So that's the A point on, and then check that your X point is on exactly there. The pink drawing doesn't matter. It's the pitchfork that matters. And then we want to come back to look at our C point to see that it has picked it up exactly. And if it hasn't, then and it hasn't. So now I need to just have another look at it. And there it is, and I'm on the 5 minute. So take the magnet off and just get that on like that. And then have a look and see that it's respecting, there's a touch there. You want to see that it, let's just magnify that. So that's still just slightly off. I know it's fiddly, but it is so worth it because you get the accuracy of the 10 pip stop loss on the 1 minute. And if you're fairly new to this, you don't have to do second pitchforks. It's not something that if you're new that you'd want to start with. It does, obviously. There you are. So we're on now. So I'm going to lock that on, then you know they can't glitch on you. And we'll have a look and see that that's picking up price. So we've got touches along there, perfect touch there, perfect touch there. So I'm happy with that. So it's a very fast pair, so you do get these wild swings. Got all those touches there. So that second pitchfork is fine. So if I was trading that this morning on the 1 minute, then I would be having a look back in London session here. So let's have a look at where we would look at our 1 minute trends. So if you look at your pivots, that's an easy way of seeing highs and lows. So it's forming lower highs there, down here, and you can see lower lows there. And then you can see the channel coming up again and then down again. So when you're looking in terms of drawing a trend line for the purposes of taking a trade, coming out of Tokyo, I'd be looking here, and I'm looking at my quarter theory and my pitchfork. So although the pitchfork's pointing upwards for a buy, I can clearly see that it's got lower highs forming. So there's your trend line up. You can clearly see that you could draw that. Try and find an anchor point for it. There's an upward trend. So in terms of, are you doing trends too far back? When you're drawing this trend, you've got touches on either side. I won't fiddle around with it too much, but you get the general principle. You've got all those touches there. Then I've got the break and the retest of the 1 minute trend. So that is going to tell me whether I'm going to get into the trade now. So if I'm over here, that's been and gone in terms of a trade setup for me. So my next one is looking here. This is the next channel that the market's forming. Again, you wouldn't have all this information at the time you're looking at getting into a trade. But let's say you had something like that. So you can clearly see you've got a strong fast pair, 10 out of 10, a strong downward trend. You've got a break and a retest. You're below the quarter theory, but you haven't really had a break and a retest up to, you've got a pitchfork touch, you've got a break and a retest there. You've got quite a wide gap. So we've got a gap of 15 pips, and we want 15 pips stop loss on a fast pair like this. So no trade as yet. Because of that, can't, very fast pair, you can't cover it. So you're saying, all right, I've got a downward trend, I'm looking for a sell, but price is just playing along through here. So here we've got another break down to here. Now, how many pips would that have given you? But you can't cover your quarter theory. So that gave you your 20 pips down here. But have you got, so let's see how else I would set this up. If you had, does that work for us? No, that doesn't work for us. So throughout London, it's quite a difficult one, this one, because I can't cover my quarter theory. I've got my breaks and my retests and my pitchfork touch. I've got pitchfork touch. I've got breaks and retests of 10 pips, and I'm under the 62. So you're going to have to, as you say, you're going to have to find a trend line which gives you a break and a retest and then the drop. But to be honest, I can't see where I would have got in unless I'd been somewhere coming over here, there. That would have been the sort of entry I would have done. Because I've got a break and a retest of quarter theory. I'm under the 62. Break and a retest down to the 15-minute trend line. It then comes back up. That's just past the hourly candle, and then a nice drop down. So that to me is where I would have got in. But again, it's a bit of a difficult one because you're right, you haven't got clear, it's very up and down, it's very choppy, isn't it? You haven't got a clear downward trend that you can draw, which will give you a break and a retest. So I just come back to where we were before. I'll just put that on. So you've got a nice 15 pip stop loss there, and that gave you the 20 very fast. So fast money down, secure the bag. So that entry, as the candle started to drop there, gave you a nice 20 pips. Here the 62s moved off the pitchfork quite a lot. So if you had got in here, you just need to probably do that. But you've got another entry. So you've got big break and retest of pitchfork, and it's under the stalls off there. So you don't quite get the 20 pips, so it's not a brilliant one. And then coming up here, have we got an entry late in New York? Not brilliant, is it? Because we've got a pitchfork touch, but we haven't really got, we've got a break and a retest there back to quarter theory, and then right down it wicks off the 15, and the 62 is down there. So no trade for me there, definitely no trade there. So let's just come back and have a look, see if we can find a trend line in London that would have helped. So trend line there, too far off my pitchfork, between pitchfork and quarter theory. 15, I can't cover it. As I say, I do get into trades sometimes where I can't cover it, but not often, like that one I did today very successfully. But I was very confident because I'd analysed it on a different strategy. So there isn't really any trade here throughout London. And just because you've got that trend line back here, it doesn't give you, there's no upward trend where you can do a break and a retest. Break and a retest is what you're looking for. So this isn't ideal the way I'm going to draw this because it's too short. But if you look for something like this, what you're looking for is that you get a break. And what do we mean by a sell? A break and the retest to the downside on the 1 minute trend. We mean a break and a retest and then down. That's what you're looking for when we say break and a retest of a 1 minute trend, but it's a very short trend. This is a better trend, in which case you'd be looking for that break and the retest to the upside, but it doesn't do that for you because it's in that downward trend. So you've got a strong downward trend, but it's not ready to turn and it's not above quarter theory, so it's still pushing down. And you could, oops, if you move this out, you could, I don't normally draw them that wide, but again, even if you did draw it that wide, picking up, you've got quite a gap there, picking up those touches there. You haven't really got a touch there because it's in the middle of a candle. You haven't got any break in a retest. You're still below the 62, so there's nothing to read there anyway. You've got price now just hugging along the 62, which is what it does. It will always default back to this. It's because it's the nearest to the magic, the golden ratio of 61.8. That's why a lot of professional traders use the 62 EMA. Wicks off the pitchfork down to the 62. So you could be thinking, oh, okay, have I got a trade here? But the answer is that you haven't, because you haven't got a strong downward trend. If you put your pivots on, you'll see that they all look fairly equal. So there is a channel, but this is a very fast pair. So if you drew a channel from there across to there, that would give you your channel trading. I'm sorry, I think Warren told me how to clone this another way and I've forgotten how to do it. And there, but this is a very fast pair, so you can see it's not a very steep channel for a trade. So it is in effect a 1 minute trend line. That's all a channel is you're drawing it either side to see because that's one of our confirmations. You can take a trade as one if one confirmation is what we call a channel touch. So touch to the top side for a sell, or touch to the bottom side to go up for the buy. So the next real one that you've got is here. This is a trend line. And let's just finish by seeing if that gives us any indication for a trade. So we've got those touches there. But there's no trade, is there? Because well, that is a trade, isn't it? Because we've got break and a retest of the pitchfork. We've got well, we haven't really. We've got the 62 dropping away there. You haven't got your quarter theory break and a retest. So you have to think, well, what is my other confirmation then? So could you put a channel? I don't trade channel touches, it's just because I'm not used to doing them. Samantha really loves channel trading. I just don't do it very much, so I don't get used to seeing it that way. But there is your, so you've got a pitchfork touch. You've got the break and the retest back there, which is a little bit further back, 12:16 to about half an hour further back. Normally I prefer it because that means it's going to take more time to work its way out. You're below the 62 and you've got a channel touch here. So how many pips would that have given us? So it's not a brilliant setup to me. That would give you 20 pips here down to here on the channel touch, and then you would need to get out when it touches that channel there. So you did have 20 pips there off that downward 1 minute trend, but not as an easier setup as many that we look at. And then, as I say, I couldn't really see a lot of others that I would have taken here. So unless there are any questions, gone on for 15 minutes more than I normally do. I'll just stop the share. I hope that helped. Hello, Steph. Nice to see you. Oh, here we are. Okay, let me have a look. Got some charts here. This is the euro order. Okay, so I've got quarter theory pitchfork trend line, break even at stop profit. Okay, so I've got a nice channel 1 minute trend up here, but you can see it starts to fail on the channel here. It doesn't want to make it up further. So you had channel touches here, up here, down to there. Then it starts to fail in the channel, and now it's broken out of the channel. Break even at stop profit. So, okay, I get you. So we've got our break and our retest. We've got it above the 62. So why didn't it go any further? Well, because the answer is, if you had drawn, either's fine, you've got the channel, but it's just the way I trade. If I'd drawn that 1 minute trend up here, picking up all those points, then you've got the break and the retest there, and I presume this red line is a pitchfork. So it breaks that channel, it breaks that 1 minute trend there and goes down. So that's probably only about 10 pips. So it just failed. Even on the fast pair, it just didn't do it. So then what happens is it comes through again, same trade. I get you. Quarter theory pitchfork 62, waited until it broke to enter, used 10 pip stop loss. It'd be 15 pips on EA because that's the fast pair. EA, EN, GJ, GCAD. I forget the others, but you know, the fast G pairs, and EA is definitely a 15 pip stop loss. One of the 5 that we used the 15 on, as everything was within stops. Okay, so would 15 pips have saved you? No, because obviously it went down. So why did these fail? So you had same trade, you had quarter theory, break and retest, and break and retest of the pitchfork. You had a break above the 62 to enter. Right, okay, but if you see what's happened before on your left, you've got lower highs forming. Lower high is forming. So that's saying that it is on a decline and it failed to reach that channel touch, and you had the break and retest of the 1 minute trend. So let's just see if we can find that on the chart, which must be this here, is it? And I think it's that. Was that? No, because that's must have been earlier. So is it here? Or is it back here? Sometimes I find it quite difficult to pick up unless I know the times. So you had two where it failed to take off with 3 downward candles. Not sure I can quite see it. Oh, 8:30, brilliant. There we are. That must be London. 8:30 to 9 EA. 8:30, so that'd be 9:30 my time. Okay, so that's, oh, that's here then. So if we just play, we can do a playback on this and just talk it through. So let's do a replay. So I've got my white pitchfork, I've got the 62 and I've got quarter theory. So we'll come back to start of London. So we're talking about 9:30. So we're looking at this section here, and then it drops below. That's it, this section here. Great, okay. So let's do bar replay. Back to open of London. And let's just talk through what happens with this trade. So we're going to be looking for a buy. We think that price, the orange line, the current momentum is going to come up. We've got 14 pips between pitchfork and quarter theory. So ideally we'd want price to be above quarter theory technically before we kind of get in for a trade, because it acts like a brick wall. So let's just play this one out. So this is open of London. It looks like the momentum's coming up with the current momentum on the 62. It's breaking above the pitchfork, all well and good. We've passed the hourly candle. It's doing a break and a retest. And that's done at 10 pips. And you've got the orange crossing above. So looking good for a buy. And here we are, break and a retest. Now it's coming above quarter theory. Can we put our, what happens if we do that? 15 pips, just about covers it. You might want a tiny bit more. And 20 pips. So have we got 3 confirmations? Let's have a look. If we put our trend line on, trend line like that. You don't bother with current price, and trend lines are always moving as well. So at this point, you just be picking up this kind of thing, which is fine. There. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So we're saying, okay, we've got pitchfork touch, break and a retest. That's 2 confirmations. The orange crossing above, that's 3 confirmations, and we're covering our pitchfork and quarter theory with our stop loss. So what don't we like about this trade? Well, nothing very much at the moment. It's looking fine. It's still above the 1 minute trend. So we're saying, well, could we get in here then? this point here on that buy candle. Let's see what happens. So it carries on up. So if I am in the trade, I make sure I've got my, that's 1.6500, 600. So I have my, I always set my thing up the same. And I want 0.65, 65, 5, 6, I want 5, 6. Oh, my mistake, done it wrong. I want 10 pips, 15 pips, sorry, 15 pips, as it's 1-to-1. That would take me up to 65150, 65150, 65150, something like that. So at that point, I'd have an alert on to put my 1 pip stop profit in for a risk-free trade. So let's see what happens. And right, so the key thing is we have a break and a retest of the 1-minute trend, which should say to us, a little bit dodgy, because it could mean the price is going to start failing, although it is still above the 62, and that looks like it's going to come above quarter theory. So you've got quarter theory, the 62, and your pitchfork on this trade. It could be just because you put a 10 pip stop loss on it that you've got stopped out. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, okay, so it plummets straight down. That's what's caught you. So 1-minute break and retest, it made the 15 pips, and then it really shot down really quickly. And this is the hour. If you look below, this is the 9 a.m. UK time. So this is the hourly fake out. And I think that's what's done for you, because it was a good trade setup. Although, hang on, with your spread and commission, I think that's all that's happened. I think you've been unfortunate. Yeah, because if you had 10 pips on it, the broker's taken you out, and you should have had 15 pips on it because it is EA, and that's what's happened to you. Otherwise, you would have had an okay trade, I think. Let's see what happens next. So I would have had 15 pips on it. I would have been okay. I would have still been in the trade. Comes on up, fails again. So by this time I would have been stopped out because of the 15 pips up here. I would have had that. I would have had the 1 pip stop loss. So I would have got stop profited out. I would have got stop profited out anyway. You had that break there. It just didn't take off. Sometimes these things happen. So then you had another entry, you said. And the problem with this other entry here, get rid of that, we don't need that now. The problem with this other entry here, so you're saying you've had the break and the retest, the 62. Well, price has been falling anyway. Price has been falling. It didn't want to go any higher than that 15 pips. I would not have been entering for another buy. You can see that price is moving down. If you put your pivots on, that should have given you warning. If you look at this, you've got lower highs forming, and you wouldn't have seen this over here, but you've got a lower high forming. So this was not an entry for a buy. Definitely not an entry for a buy. Okay, so I think that's everything. I'll just tidy this up. I hope that was helpful. Let's come out of that. Stop the replay. And stop the done there. Oh, that's it. So that is everything. Can't see. Oh, I've got another chart here. This is Euro-AUD again on the 15-minute. Oh, that's okay. I think we're talking about the same analysis that we've just looked at. But thanks for sending the charts in. I really do appreciate it. Gives us really useful information to help other people as well, and I enjoy discussing them. I learn from it as well. And I'm just going to stop the recording, and you're very welcome. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you all next week.